Hey folks, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and as promised, we've got the Archaeo, or however you say it, by Artisan Cutlery today. This is a full-size knife, D2 steel G10 handle scales by Artisan Cutlery, and they make the same model for a lot of their knives in a whole bunch of different versions. This is the budget version, or their budget version. It's a little high on the budget scale for my scale. I really do a lot of reviews for knives that are below $30. Most of them are below $25. A lot of them are below $20. Not that many of my reviews are for videos that are over $35. This one is closer to, well, I'll get to my notes later on. I think it's around $55 US. I got this one through White Mountain Knives. You get 10% off if you shop there and you use my coupon code CCE. I recommend that store quite a lot because their prices are very good. Their shipping is very good, and even to Canada. And so there you go. If you're interested in this knife, stick around because the review is coming at you right now. Okay, so here's the knife. First thing I want to say is this is a knife, has a designer, Dylan Mallory, and his name's right there. I don't know him. This is the first time I've seen one of his knives. Maybe I've been out covering my head in the sand like an ostrich or something. I don't know. Or maybe just with budget knives, I haven't seen his designs before. I like this design quite a lot. Let's get into it. All right. Actually, one of my longtime viewers suggested that I show you the knives and I compare them a little bit. I don't usually do size comparison, but I just flipped this guy open. This is the Rat 1. I've got a little extra, flipper attachment, not flipper, pocket attachment right there. It works like the Emerson Wave. There's a different video about that. But look at that. If we line up the pivot pins right here, it's longer than your Rat 1, but it's also thinner or not as deep and lighter. There's Artisan's Cutlery logo right there. And they've done a really cool job. I like the little accent ring in there. I'm assuming that's aluminum. I doubt it's titanium, but the nice orange ring really helps set off this knife. We've got stonewash blade, drop point, a little bit of a belly on that blade. And we've got a handle that fairly thin, and then it comes out a little bit bigger. Your first 3 fingers for most people's hands will lock in that section, and your pinky can go wherever it wants over there. Or you can go back a little further and put 2 fingers back here and 2 up there. And now you've got a really long reach if you want it. The flipper tab becomes a pretty good guard right there, although it's swept forward on that line. The flipper works very well. The action's awesome on this knife. It's a light switch flipper, and you can push down on just a bit of an angle, and it flips open as a push down method as well. And detent is awesome. You can hear it. It's a good detent, and that's why it flips so well, because the detent is very well optimized. We've got a little bit of a hole there. Some people know how to flip knives. I hold it with one hand and then there you go. Some people can do that just with one hand and flip a knife open. I just am not, I don't have that skill. This one's got a really good access to the tab there to unlock the knife. Generous access makes it very easy to, open and close this knife. The sliding is very good. I think we've got, I think it's ceramic ball bearings. Let me double check this here. Yeah, ceramic ball bearings, ceramic detent, just a well done knife. Recessed liners in there, and there's no skeletonizing on it. It doesn't really need it. The liners are pretty small because of the small size of this knife. I like that the deep carry pocket clip can be carried on either side. I would have really liked if it went right to the end, and if they would have just incorporated that top screw of the pocket clip to be right up here, and then they would just have to add one more hole, and then it'd be even deeper. You've got just less than a centimeter, a little over 1/4 of an inch, about 1/3 of an inch of the knife sticking out of your pants pocket when you put it in there. This design of the pocket clip works very, very well. Your pocket slides in there easily and it holds onto very well. And there's enough space here so that your pants can go right to the end easily. Line up, when you close the knife, it's a little bit off-center. And right now it's a little bit more off-center because it's gotten a little bit loose. And I'll talk to you about that in just a little while. When I first got it, there was no blade play side to side. And now there is just a tiny bit. There's no blade play up and down. Lockup is exactly where I want a brand new knife to be. It gives it lots of time to move over. It's fully engaged. I like how the knife blade, when it's closed and lines up with the handle and everything's nice and smooth, this guy sits in the pocket very well. You just got a little bit of the flipper tab sticking out. And another thing they've done is they removed the recess of the liner lock right here, and they've got some fine jimping. So when you're holding the knife, your thumb has more stuff to grip on there. And then if you really reach out with your thumb, you've also got jimping on the spine here to grab onto. The hole in the handle of the blade there isn't really for opening the knife, but it's a nice look and no problem at all. I don't mind that at all. Before I talk about the one little problem that I've got with this knife, let's go over all of the dimensions, the measurements, and all that kind of information. This will be on the screen while I'm doing that. So let's get into that. D2 steel, which has a Rockwell hardness of around 60, give or take a little bit. We've got ceramic ball bearings. I've already mentioned that. Ceramic detent. It's a liner lock with a flipper, pocket clip right and left, and everything works very well. Alignment slightly off. The weight on this knife is 111 grams, which is 3.9 ounces, so under 4 ounces. The factory sharpness is 175. 200 is the borderline. If it's greater than 200, then it's not sharp enough to be considered sharp from the factory. And if it's below 200, it's considered sharp from the factory. The 175 is not bad. Although they didn't do a great job with sharpening this, and I'll tell you why after we've gone through the rest of the dimensions. The length of the cutting edge, 9.38 centimeters, 3.69 inches. Blade length, so tip to the closest spot on the handle, 9.6 centimeters, 3.78 inches. So 3 3/4 inch knife here. The blade thickness here is 3.7 millimeters, which is 0.1455. So it's over 1/8 of an inch thick. That's good. The blade depth, that's this measurement, and I usually measure about 1 inch down from the sharpness choil, so right about there. 2.67 centimeters, 1.05 inches. The thickness of the edge right behind the grind, it's about 0.58 millimeters, which is 0.023 inches, just slightly thicker than my optimal thickness, which is 0.5 millimeter. 0.58, not bad. The grind angle, well, here's some of the problems. Which side is it? Yeah, this side, the grind angle is 25 degrees. This side, the grind angle is 28.5 degrees. It's way too steep of an angle. So if I'm holding the knife, see, I'm holding it like this. So that cutting edge is, the optimal that most people agree on, there's always going to be somebody who disagrees, is 20 degrees per side. So from the center, 25 degrees, 20 degrees, I should say, and from the center, 20 degrees. This one's bigger on both sides, and by a fair margin, 25 and 28. And that's why it's got more of a bull nose to push in. It got lucky to hit 175 in the sharpness to cut through it. And it's not ground evenly. And as you can see, there's lots of steel that they ground away there. And on this side, there's barely any steel that they ground away. So the center of the grind is way off to that side, at least near the tip. Easy to fix in any one of my basic sharpening systems that clamps on. And so that's not a problem at all. And I will be sharpening it to 20 degrees per side. D2 can handle that, no problem. And I'll try to center that grind up while I'm at it. I will be willing to sell this knife in early September if the Patreon winner doesn't choose it. And let's talk about the handle sizes now. The handle length is 12.76 centimeters, which is 5.02 inches, so 5 inches. The grip area in here, I'm saying it's about 11.1 centimeters, 4.37 inches. The handle thickness is 1.2 centimeters. Not bad at all. That's 0.48 of an inch, so just under half an inch thick. The handle depth, that's this measurement right here, 2.32 centimeters, 0.91 of an inch. And when you close the knife, the biggest spot is going to be right up here. And that's 2.9 centimeters, 1.14 inches. And the total length of this knife when the blade is deployed is 22.5 centimeters, which is 8.7 inches. That's not bad at all. For the size, the weight is great. The balance point is exactly where I want it to be on this knife. Nothing bad to say about the handle. I'll talk about the lanyard hole in just a minute. It's kind of cool how they did that. Not uncommon. Sharpener's choil is ideal. It's a very good size, very well placed. The main bevel grind and the stone wash on it is done very well. It's a nice fine stone wash. You got a nice thick spine all the way until it runs out and the bevel takes over, and then it starts coming down to a point. So it's a fairly strong tip on here, but as you can see, this is really designed as a slicing knife and as a puncturing knife, and it's good for both of those primary tasks. You could use it in 101 different ways and really enjoy this knife. It's not hot in the hand at all, no matter how you use it, at least not for me in my experience. And, I carry every knife for at least one full day. Almost all my knives, I carry more than that. My average, believe it or not, really is not that much more than about one knife video every 2 days. Because I do other videos as well, and then I've got days off and stuff too. So most knives I carry for about 2 days, and I do a lot of testing other than that as well. So I've cut a lot of cardboard and things with this. All I've done is stropped it a little bit to keep an edge that's usable. And it's a fun knife. I enjoy carrying this knife. Not hard to get out of the pocket at all, and easy to get into the pocket. Just the way these pocket clips are designed, it just slides right over and all the way in right to the bottom easily. So just got a tiny bit sticking out there. Not bad at all. Easy to grab here to pull it out, or even up here, as long as you don't grab too low, because then you're going to put pressure on there. And take the knife out and deploy the blade and use it. Works very, very well. Okay, before I go over the pros and cons, let me talk about one con in particular that I disliked. I found out after I opened it, about 20 times, the blade had become loose, and it's loose right now. It's actually looser just from this recording time. From the time I started this recording till now, it's gotten more loose. You can blade play if you look along one of these lines like this. I'll hold this still down on the paper, and you can see that I can move the knife. I'm not really moving it here. I'm moving it here, and it's pivoting right there. And that's because this screw here comes loose. This is a fixed pivot pin, which means it doesn't spin freely. It just sort of comes loose here over time, and it's loose enough that I can now take it apart just using my thumb pressure and undoing it. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. And I hate thread locker. This knife doesn't have thread locker on it, but I really like a product that isn't really a traditional thread locker. It's called Vibratite's VC3 Thread Mate. Here's a bigger sticker for it. So Vibratite, use Thread Mate or kiss your nuts goodbye, or your fixed screws or whatever. I really, really like this brand, this product. Here, it's a little bit larger here, so you can take a look at that. Vibratite is not a sponsor of mine. They've paid me nothing. I've got some samples from them for free, and that's it. I really, really like their products. You can get this in a small tube. You can get it in, this size jar. This is an older label for their product, but it's still their same VC3. They just did some branding things with it. So you can get it in a container this size. You can get it in this size. You can get it in big, big containers. Industry can get screws pre-applied. They have the VC3 pre-applied to them. Why isn't this normal, like traditional thread locker? Or how isn't it? It doesn't dry on, and you can't use it only once. That's poor English. You can, if I apply that thread mate to this screw, I can put this screw in and out and readjust it 7-8 times and it'll work fine each time. So it's a good product for knife enthusiasts because it doesn't lock it in place, but it holds it in place. It's especially vibration resistant. So this is a lot of vibration. Open the knife, whack. That point when it whacks open, it causes a lot of vibration through there, and that's what causes this screw to turn open just a tiny bit. That's exactly the kind of action that ThreadMate VC3 is designed to fight against. So I really, really like that product. Vibrotite's products are very inexpensive in the United States, or comparatively inexpensive because it's an American brand name, American company. You can get it on Amazon.com for a song. The Canadian prices are a whole lot more, not literally for a song. Come on, guys, don't put that in the comments. In Canada, it costs a whole lot more. In Europe, it costs a whole lot more. So I've got several samples to give away to people that are outside of the United States. You know, if you want a sample, you just have to pay for the shipping, and I'll send you a sample, you know, for the first, 7 or 8 people. It depends on how much of it I have. And, if you want to buy a knife from me and you're in one of those countries, I can include a sample right away. I don't have a listing of knives that are for sale right now, though. I'm sorry about that. If you've seen a video of something that you want, email me and let me know. CanadianCuttingEdge@gmail.com. Back to this knife. So ThreadMate helps to fix that problem. So that's a problem, but it's easily overcome. It's not really a defect that you'll never be able to get away from in a knife. So it's a con, but it's not a huge con because it's easy to overcome. What are the other pros and cons of this knife? Design is a big pro. I like the style of this knife. The blade is made well. The actual production quality of the blade is good. The production quality of the handle is good. Very comfortable. Everything that's supposed to be rounded off is. The lanyard hole back here, it's maybe best for small paracord. Did you know paracord comes in 3-strand, 5-strand? Of course, you knew it comes in 7-strand. Did you know it comes in 11 strands, 9 strands? You can get paracord in a lot of different sizes. The big, thick paracord might not work with this hole that well. And with this end, I should have probably melted the end and made it firm a little bit. But what it does is you wrap it around that post by feeding it through like this. And then you've got your 2 ends of your paracord, and you can tie a lanyard onto here. Not a bad design. I like that quite a lot. I just wish they would have left the back end of that open a little bit so that your lanyard, could lay flat this way instead of wanting to come out this way. Not a big deal. I really like that lanyard hole is, it's done well, very functional, looks good, doesn't create extra bulk. Pocket clip's very good. The texture in the grip on the G10, awesome. Action's very good. The lockup is beautiful. The look of the knife is great. It's lightweight. It could be used as an EDC knife, but it probably is more of a more specific use kind of knife. And the only con is the one I was mentioning. The 2 cons are the ones I was mentioning. It's that pivot screw coming out, easily remedied, and the poor grinding on the blade, easily remedied. So, for a knife that's selling right now for what, $49.97 minus 10% at White Mountain Knives. But this same style goes all the way up to $250, with titanium handle scales and different steel. I think you've got S35VN. I'm not sure exactly what other high-end steels, because I'm a budget guy. So $50, that's right at the top end of my budget listing. Take 10% off, and it's very reasonable. White Mountain Knives ships to the United States and to Canada. And I really do recommend them to Canadians because they ship to Canada with the owner's name on the shipping label instead of White Mountain Knives on the shipping label. And that helps the packages to have a greater chance of getting past CBSA, although you can't guarantee it. But chances are fairly good that if you buy a knife from White Mountain Knives, or very good, that it will come through. Just like if you get a friend to ship knives to you, CBSA might get them, but generally they come through quite easily. M390, that you can get this in. Damascus, you can get this in. Yeah, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong about the S35VN, but there's a lot of different steels that you can use. So I like this knife. It's got good looks. It carries well. It's comfortable. That's not really a forward choil. Once this has been resharpened, if I did this, I'd end up cutting my finger right there. But it's got good action, good flipper, and I'm just repeating myself. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. What do you think of this knife? Dylan Mallory, you've designed a good knife that I like quite a lot. So there you go. It's a good knife. Thank you to everybody who's been watching my channel. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.